ashes to words. I remember the last time you looked at me and said, "Hey, Vance, how's it going?" After that, nothing else felt like you anymore. I sat by your bedside in the hospital, listening to the hum of machines and waiting for any word from the doctors. Days turned into a blur of whispered conversations with nurses, sifting through old paperwork and staring at you lying there, unable to speak. I was thrust into a new role, your voice when you didn't have one, the one responsible for making decisions I never thought I'd have to make. I was only 27 then. One moment, I was navigating my own life, and the next, I was carrying the weight of yours. I wish I could say that I was graceful about it, but the truth is, I was angry, burning, white-hot anger that festered inside me. You had been sick for years, and you never told me. And when you finally did, you left me to clean up the pieces, like a shattered glass with no hope of being put back together. You died before we could really talk. All those years we spent apart, the silence, the hurt, it all came rushing back when I saw you in that hospital bed, too weak to speak. I hated that you left me with this mess, this bitterness that gnawed at me even when I wanted to forgive you. Maybe if you had told me sooner, we could have talked, could have faced it together. Instead, I was left alone, trying to understand the person you were as you faded away. I think back to those days, and all I feel is a fury that twists my insides. No matter what happened between us, you didn't deserve to face it alone. But how dare you make me the one to carry it all when you left? It's like you handed me a weight that I couldn't lift, and then you disappeared. You called me your freak kid more than once, always with that look on your face. It wasn't what you said directly that hurt the most. It was what you didn't say. You never hid that you wanted a son who could be your mirror, someone who could follow in your footsteps. But I was never going to be that for you. I knew it, and I think you did too. On my last birthday, while you were still alive, I didn't come to see you. I thought I needed space, time to breathe. But that decision sits heavy in my chest now, like a stone that won't go away. People tell me I had to look after myself, that no one can pour from an empty cup. Maybe they're right, but that doesn't stop the guilt. You were alone, and so was I, both of us too stubborn to reach across the distance we'd created. After you died, pieces of you came back to me in fragments, memories that flared up at the most unexpected times. I remember standing in your empty house, looking around, and realizing we never had pictures together. When I tried to take photos, you were already too far gone, a shadow of the man I once knew, lying there with tubes and wires. I hated that those were the images I had to hold on to. Even now, 2 years later, I write this with a bitterness I don't know how to let go of. Part of me wants to rage against you, to scream and curse and blame you for leaving without fixing what was broken between us. But there's another part that just wishes you could be here, that you could hold me like when I was little and tell me everything would be okay. I want to believe that somehow we could have repaired things. I want to believe that you could have loved me for who I am, even if it's not the son you pictured.
You made your choices, and I made mine.
And yet, in the end, it was me standing in that room, holding your cold hand as the machines went silent. You were gone, and all the words I never said filled the space between us. When the nurse called at 1:30 in the morning to say that it was time, I couldn't bring myself to come right away. I sat on my kitchen floor, waiting for a second call, and by the time I got there, you had already left this world. I like to think that you didn't know how alone you were in that final moment, but I don't think I'll ever forgive myself for not being there. I had you cremated. It was cheaper, quicker. I knew it wasn't what you would have wanted, but I told myself I didn't have a choice. Even writing that makes my throat tighten with guilt. I kept your ashes in a cheap tin, shoved into the back of my closet, hidden away because I can't bear to look at them. Maybe one day I'll buy a proper urn, but I haven't found the strength yet. I wish I could say that your death gave me closure, that it freed me from all the things that haunted me. But it didn't. I still look for you sometimes, in a crowd or at a familiar place. I imagine you calling out my old nickname, your voice ringing out like an echo from another time. It's foolish, but some part of me hopes that I'll turn around and see you, that maybe we'll get another chance. But I know you're gone for good. You're not coming back. When I play that old Fleetwood Mac record you used to love, I wonder if you would have danced along if you'd still had the strength. I dressed you in that faded green shirt you always wore when you were buried, because it seemed right somehow, like the last piece of you I could hold on to. People used to say that I looked like you, and I always hated it. But now, in the mirror, I see those features creeping into my own, and it scares me. They say losing a parent is like losing a limb. You keep going, but everything is different, and you never walk the same way again. I feel it every day, the absence like a shadow that follows me, changing shape, but never leaving. And even as I try to move forward, there's a part of me that's still stuck, still searching for something that I know I'll never find. I wish I had told you all of this while you were still alive, while we still had time. But time ran out, and now all I have are the words you'll never hear. I don't know why I'm writing this, or if it will ever bring me the peace I'm searching for. Maybe it's just something I need to do, a way to lay the ghosts to rest. I'm sorry I wasn't the son you hoped for, and I'm sorry you weren't the father I needed. I hope that wherever you are, you can forgive me. And maybe, just maybe, I can learn to forgive myself too. I don't know how to forgive myself, not fully, not yet. Every time I think I've made some progress, some new memory catches me off guard. I'll be driving and hear a song you used to hum in the car, or I'll walk past a diner like the one we used to go to before things got really bad between us. It's like these memories are small landmines scattered through my life, and every time I step on one, the pain explodes all over again. I think about the times when I tried to get through to you. I'd pick up the phone, ready to call, my fingers hovering over your name in my contacts, but the fear would grip me, and I'd put the phone back down. It wasn't just about what you thought of me.
It was about what I thought of myself.
I didn't want to be the one begging for approval, even though I wanted it more than anything. You always had this way of making me feel like I wasn't enough, like I wasn't the kind of son that fit into your idea of family. When I came out to you, you didn't say much. You just gave me this look like you were sizing me up, like you were trying to see if there was still some part of me that could be the son you imagined. I think it broke something in both of us that night, and we never quite figured out how to fix it. But even then, I hoped that one day you'd come around. There were moments when I thought maybe you were trying, like the time you showed up at my apartment unannounced with a grocery bag of junk food and a six-pack of beer. You didn't say it, but I knew it was your way of extending an olive branch. We watched some game on TV, one of those sports I never cared for but you always loved. We sat there in silence, you on the couch and me on the armchair. It was awkward, uncomfortable, but I think there was some kind of truce in that silence. But like everything with us, it fell apart again. You didn't understand why I couldn't be more like you, and I couldn't understand why you couldn't just accept me as I was. And then, when you got sick, that rift turned into a canyon, wide enough that it swallowed up the chance for either of us to cross it. I think the hardest part is knowing that no matter how many times I replay everything in my head, I can't change any of it. I can't make you proud of me, and I can't make myself the son you wanted. I can't take back those years we didn't speak, the missed calls, or the times I deleted your voicemails without listening to them. I still remember the first time I saw you after we found out you were sick. You'd lost weight, and your skin had this dull, gray look to it. I tried to pretend like it didn't scare me, but I think you saw right through me. I'll never forget the way you looked at me, like you were apologizing without saying the words. I wish I'd known then how close we were to the end. Maybe I would have tried harder. After you died, people said a lot of things that were supposed to be comforting. They told me that you must have loved me deep down, even if you didn't know how to show it. They said that taking care of you in those final days was a sign that I was a good person, but none of it felt true. It felt like they were trying to paper over the cracks with words that couldn't fill the gaps. Because the truth is, I don't know if you ever really did accept me, and I don't know if taking care of you means anything when I still feel like I failed. Some nights, I sit in my apartment with your ashes in that tin, wondering what to do with them. It's like I'm stuck in this limbo between moving on and holding on to the past. Sometimes I think about scattering them somewhere meaningful, maybe that old fishing spot you used to go to when I was a kid, or near the lake where we had those family picnics before everything went wrong. But then, I wonder if that's really what you would have wanted. And I wonder if I'm just trying to find a way to put all these feelings somewhere outside of me, somewhere that isn't this cramped, messy corner of my mind. I wish you had left me something more to hold on to. I don't know what I expected, a letter, maybe, or some small token that would make all of this make sense. Instead, I'm left with your silence and a million unanswered questions. What were you thinking in those last days when you couldn't speak? Did you regret anything? Did you ever feel proud of me? Even a little bit? I guess I'll never know, and maybe that's the hardest part of all. The few friends who knew about everything tell me I should try therapy, that it might help me work through the anger and the sadness. But I don't think I'm ready for that. I think a part of me is afraid that if I start letting go of the anger, there won't be anything left. That somehow, without the resentment, I'll be left feeling emptier than I do now. I keep having this dream where I'm a kid again, and you're teaching me how to ride a bike. It's one of the few good memories I have of us. In the dream, I'm riding down the street, wobbling and scared, but you're running alongside me, your hand on the back of the seat, steadying me. You're telling me that I'm doing great, that I just need to keep going, and that you won't let go until I'm ready. But in the dream, I always look back, and you're not there. Your hand's gone, and I'm falling, and I wake up just before I hit the ground. I know it's stupid, but some part of me wonders if that dream means something. Like maybe it's my mind's way of telling me that I have to learn to keep going, even without you there. But it doesn't feel like a lesson I want to learn. It feels like another reminder that you're gone, and I'm the one who has to keep writing, even when I don't know if I'm doing it right. It's strange, you know, how someone can be gone, and yet they're still everywhere. You're in the smell of old cologne I found in the back of your closet when I finally had to pack up your things. You're in the taste of black coffee that I still can't drink without remembering the mornings you'd sit with your cup, reading the paper. You're in the sound of the rain hitting the windows, reminding me of the stormy night when you came to pick me up from that party because I was too scared to drive home. I don't know if this is my way of letting you go, or if it's just me holding on tighter. Maybe it's both. Maybe it's neither. I wish I knew how to make sense of all this. But for now, I'm just trying to make it through the days, trying to find a way to carry the weight without letting it break me. I hope, wherever you are, you've found peace. And I hope, somehow, that you know that despite everything, I still wish we could have found peace together.